Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And of course, here's your meme of the day, brought to you by FiveMind.com. Yeah, pretty much every single time it's the same with these far leftoids, It's always a revolution, it's a revolution. Well, that is, of course, until they actually end up winning the election. Then it goes from revolution to, oh wait, maybe there is no revolution. Maybe the revolution is postponed. It's modern leftism in a nutshell. Loud slogans, dramatic speeches, Hollywood-style campaigns about fighting fascism and mobilionaires. All these la-di-da naive promises. I'm gonna give you the world. We're gonna fix all social ills at the snap of a finger. Anybody questioning my judgment or my strategies? How we're gonna do things? Well, tell them we only have one response, and that's the billionaires. But of course, then reality shows up. In this case, like a freaking freight train, and boom, there goes the whole revolution. Zohran Mamdani's little socialist revolution in New York City already seems to be taking a complete 180. Zohran voters, I'd argue at this point, are freaking pissed as their Che Guevara style candidate is now turning out to be such a complete and utter fraud. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so just like I called it yesterday, I saw this happening from a mile away. Zohran Mamdani got elected on being Donald Trump's worst nightmare. We remember that one, right?
My administration will be Donald Trump's worst nightmare.
And now, well, let's just say the tone has changed, to say the least.
My team reached out to the White House to set up this meeting because I will work with anyone to make life more affordable for the more than 8.5 million people who call this city home. I have many disagreements with the president, and I believe that we should be relentless and pursue all avenues and all meetings that could make our city affordable for every single New Yorker. I intend to make it clear to President Trump that I will work with him on any agenda that benefits New Yorkers.
He went from, I will be Donald Trump's worst nightmare, to, I intend to tell President Trump that we have many things to work on together. Scammed. Absolutely scammed. You got scammed if you voted for this complete fool. Everything this man said was all part of a messaging campaign. It was all an act. It was pure theater. You know, the whole New York style editing and the old New York style old-timey music in the background. It was captivating, sure, I'll give it to Zohran. They made great TV, but ultimately the entire thing was substanceless. Especially all the claims about, stoking terror in the hearts of President Trump, as if this 30-something-year-old, no experience in life or politics, new mayor in New York City would ever be able to outmaneuver the president. I mean, come on, give me a break. They're not worried about him at all.
It speaks volumes that tomorrow we have a communist coming to the White House because that's who the Democrat Party elected as the mayor of the largest city in the country. I think it's very telling, but I also think it speaks to the fact that President Trump is willing to meet with anyone and talk to anyone and to try to do what's right on behalf of the American people, whether they live in blue states or red states or blue cities, in a city that's becoming much more left than I think this president ever anticipated in his many years of living in New York himself.
I'd say less shocked and more so confused as to the fact that they now have to sit down and have a conversation with a literal self-avowed communist. I think they're more embarrassed for the country than they are shaking in their boots at the idea that Mamdani wields his incredible mayoral powers to undo and dismantle their agenda. I mean, give me a break. The whole thing is laughable. And at the end of the day, the adults in the room, we understand that everything with these kids, it's all theater. That's what this new Democrat Party is. It's the party of Hollywood. All these campaigns, they're not run on substantive ideas and pushing real thought-provoking reforms. No, they're being ran on lights, camera, action. That was Zohran Mamdani's entire shtick. And now, of course, you got every other freaking Democrat trying to implement the model, recreate the success. We've got another one, this Cameron Kasky kid, who's now doing the same thing.
My name is Cameron Kasky, and I'm running for Congress because there's no real path forward for most Americans.
Everything's a theater production. The visuals, the fancy talk with all the utopia promises, in most cases delivered by some 20-something-year-old kid who's never even frickin' paid a tax bill in their life, walking around with mommy and daddy's American Express. Obviously, these kids cannot deliver. They don't even understand how the world works, but we're gonna hand them the keys to the kingdom? Of course not. They're trust fund babies reading TikTok scripts, and that's exactly what it was with Zohran since day one. He never had actual plans. It was just rhetoric. He was just having fun. We're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. But there's no actual process. There's no thought process. There's no plan. There's no strategy.
And the other one, you're talking about fast and free buses and you're meeting with the governor. I've heard you talk about many times that you don't want to take money away from the MTA. You want to put money back in. It's something that she agrees with, right? We don't want to take away money from the MTA. How are you getting that money, the $700 million to make the buses free, into the MTA if she's not for raising taxes?
You know, I think that the two clearest ways to raise that money is through the raising of the state's corporate tax to match that of New Jersey. I think that a lot of this is still a case to be made. Whether it's the corporate tax or whether it's the personal income tax on those who make more than $1 million a year or more, I think that these are the clearest ways. I've also said that if there are other ways to raise this funding, the most important fact is that we fund it, not the question of how we do it, but that we do it.
Well, his answer for how he's going to do things is kind of chalked up to, we'll just find the money, we'll just figure it out. Sure, Kathy Hochul has told us absolutely never, but I read never as maybe, and you're supposed to figure out these things before getting elected, not get elected on all of these fancy, glowing, golden promises, then get in office and then think, where do we go from here? What do we do now? I guess we'll just have to figure it out. I guess we'll just tax the billionaires, right? Billionaires? It's the same thing every time. The entire ideology, the entire worldview falls apart the moment you ask, how will you do it? Pragmatically. Where are you going to get the money? And it's not as easy as just, tax the billionaires. The system is more complex than that. Are you going to get broad support to tax those billionaires? Are you then not just going to create flight of American wealth and completely decimate the system? If you attack productivity and then the country or the city or the state that you're running becomes less productive and you have then less productive monies to tax, well then what are you going to do in that situation? Well, they haven't thought that far. Zohran Mamdani's thought was, hey, it's freaking New York. We could tax people here as much as we want and no one's going to leave because this is New York. That's basically what he said, but that is idiotic. And it proves that this kid knows nothing about how business and capital moves. Money doesn't give a crap whether it's New York or freaking Alaska. If there's a viable investment to be made, the money will go. If you create the worst business environment in the country, you're gonna get the worst results. But of course, he didn't think that far because everything was a grift, everything was a false promise, and now he just looks, frankly, like a lost puppy, wandering around, going from, I will be your worst nightmare, Donald Trump, to, please, Donald Trump, now come bail me out of the situation that I'm in. The whole revolution was a script. The campaign was a show, and now the mask is slipping, and all that's left, frankly, I believe, are going to be a bunch of disgruntled voters who once again got played by another shiny Democrat at the top of his ivory tower. But of course, not everything that glitters is gold, huh? Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.